We continue now at the top of Daf Mem Vavam and Beis Meseches Sukkah. This is Sukkah Daf 46b. The Gemara says the ways of HaKadosh Baruch Hu are not like the ways of people. Machzik moleyeno machzik. When it comes to people, if you have a vessel that's empty, then it can hold things. But if you have something that's molly, that's full, it can't hold anything. Aval midas HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But when it comes to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, it's the opposite. Moley machzik. When you have a vessel that's full, that can contain things. Reikon eno machzik. But if it's empty, it can't contain anything. Shenemar, like the pasuk says, v'hoya im shamoa tishma. It says, if you listen, then you will listen. It means if you will surely listen. But we darshan, im shamoa tishma. If you listen, then you'll be able to listen more. V'im lav, and if you don't listen, lo tishma, you won't be able to listen further. In other words, only if you're full, so to speak, can you contain more. Davar acher, another explanation of the pasuk, im shamoa biyashin, if you listen to that which was old, so then tishma b'chadash, you'll be able to listen to that which is new. V'im yifna levavcha, but if you turn your heart away, shuv lo sishma, you won't be able to hear anything further. And Rashi explains, if you're regularly accustomed to listening, then you'll be able to listen, you'll be able to learn more. But if not, if you weren't trained in your young years to be able to listen, you're not going to be able to learn when you're older. If you go over your learning, meaning you review, that's shomea biyashin, you go over that which is old, so tishma b'chodesh, then you'll be able to learn new things. You're going to be able to learn new things from the old things. You'll be able to derive new ideas. If you give up doing that, you don't go over the old things, so then you're not going to get anything new. That's what the pasuk means. If you turn your heart away, then you're not going to be able to listen. And the Gemara continues at the two dots, quoting the Mishnah, it says that the adults, they would take the esrogim from the children. So the Gemara says, Amar Rav Yochanan says, Esrog b'shvi yasr b'shmini mutter. When it comes to esrog, the entire seventh day, the esrog is asr, meaning you're not allowed to eat it. Rashi over here says, asr la'achila v'afilu la'achar sheyatzba. Even after you finish the mitzvah, you can't eat it. The idea is it's muksa for all 7 days that it's designated for the mitzvah. That's when it comes to esrog. B'shmini mutter. On the 8th day already, it's mutter. Sukkah, when it comes to Sukkah, afilu b'shmini asura. Even on the 8th day, the Sukkah is asur, meaning you're not allowed to use the wood for fire even on the 8th day. Gemara will explain why. Reish Lakish says, esrog afilu b'shvi nami mutter. When it comes to esrog, even on the 7th day, it's really mutter, meaning once you yotze the mitzvah, there's no more mitzvah to do with it, so it's no longer considered muksa, and it is mutter. So the Gemara says, what are they arguing about? One says it's only muksa for the mitzvah. Once the mitzvah is done, it's no longer muksa. That's the opinion of Reish Lakish. The other opinion says, no, it's muksa for the entire day. That's the opinion of Rabbi Yochanan, that the entire 7th day, the esrog is asr. So the Gemara says, Reish Lakish asked Rabbi Yochanan the following question from our Mishnah. It says, it says they would take the lulavs from the children and they would eat the esrogs. So my lav is not saying hu adin legadol. The same is true from the adult esrogs. They could take the adult esrog and they could eat that as well. It sounds like on the 7th day, our Mishnah is talking about on the 7th day, you're allowed to eat the esrog. So the Gemara answers, no, tinokos dafka. It could be that our Mishnah means only, it could be only the esrog that belongs to the children. The idea being that the esrogim of the children, as Rashi says, tinokos dafka shalohuksa lemitzvah gemura. That's not really designated for a full mitzvah because it belongs to a katan. A katan is not really obligated in the mitzvah. Avol shal gedolim, but if it would belong to the adults, shahuksa lemitzvah gemura, where it's designated fully for the mitzvah, asur and kalayom, then indeed it might be asur the entire day. So you can't bring a proof from our Mishnah, because the Mishnah might only be talking about children's esrogim and not adult esrogim. Iko di'amri, there some have a different version of this. Eisvei Rabbi Yochanan l'Reish Lakish, that actually it's Rabbi Yochanan that asked Reish Lakish the question from our Mishnah in the opposite fashion. Miyad hatinoko shomden es lulavehen v'yochalan esrogein. It says they would take from the children the lulavs and the esrog. So tinokos in gedolim lo. So Rabbi Yochanan makes an inference. He says only the children. They would not take it from the adults. So you see, by the adults, it is asur on the 7th day to eat it. So the Gemara says lo. don't know who adin dafilo gedolim. It could be understood. The Mishnah could mean that they would take it even from the adults. V'hai de katani tinokos. The only reason the Mishnah says the children, orcha de milsa katani, that was just a more normal thing to do. As Rashi says, orcha de milsa she'in derech lishma miyad hagedolim es esrogim. It's not normal to steal from the adults their esrogim. They would take it from the children. That was something that was more customary. And the Gemara continues. Amar le Rav Papa li Abaye. Rav Papa said to Abaye, le Rabbi Yochanan, according to Rabbi Yochanan, ma'ishno sukkah, ma'ishno esrog. What's the difference between sukkah and esrog? How come when it comes to sukkah it's usher the entire 8th day? When it comes to esrog it's usher the 7th day, but not the 8th day. So Amar le, so he said to him, sukkah dechazio lebein hashmashos. When it comes to sukkah, it's in theory there's a mitzvah even bein hashmashos. The Yisrami le sudasa. If you have a situation of a meal, boy mesiv begavo, mechel begava, you're going to have to sit there and eat in the sukkah, even on the 7th day, bein hashmashos, at the end of the 7th day. So therefore, it's katzoy lebein hashmashos. Already it's designated to be used for the mitzvah for bein hashmashos. Umigo des katzoy lebein hashmashos, and once it's already designated for the 7th day bein hashmashos for the mitzvah, it's katzoy lekula yom deshmini. The muksa applies for the entire 8th day, because bein hashmashos is sort of the 7th day, but it's also sort of the 8th day. It's considered suffik yom, suffik laila. We don't know if it's the daytime or the nighttime. We don't know if it's day 7 or day 8. So once it's muksa for bein hashmashos of the 7th day, it's already muksa for the 8th day as well. Esrog de lo chazi lebein hashmashos. Now esrog, there's no way you're going to use it for bein hashmashos because you're already yotze in the morning on the 7th day. So lo iskatzoy lebein hashmashos. It's not muksa for bein hashmashos. V'lo iskatzoy lekula yom v'deshmini. It's not going to be muksa for the entire day of the 8th day. That's the difference between lulav and sukkah. V'levi Amar, but Levi says esrog afilu b'shmini aser. Esrog even on the 8th day is going to be aser. Rashi over here says esrog afilu b'shmini asura migo d'asura ben hashmashos d'shmini, for this exact reason, since it was aser ben hashmashos of the 8th day, mishum de ben hashmashos suffik yomu, because ben hashmashos we don't know if it's day or night. Uvashvi is katzay l'kul yom, we know on the 7th day the whole day is aser. V'keven de ben hashmashos asura, once it's aser on the ben hashmashos of the 7th day, v'afagav lo chazi lo ben hashmashos, even though you're never going to use ben hashmashos asur lekula yoma, it's going to be aser for the entire day. That's the opinion of Levi. V'avua de Shmuel Amar. Now the father of Shmuel says esrog b'shvi aser, esrog on the 7th day it is aser, b'shmini mutter, but on the 8th day it's going to be mutter. But then the Gemara says that the father of Shmuel ended up agreeing with the opinion of Levi and saying that it's aser on the 8th day. And Rabbi Zeira b'shitase de'avua de Shmuel. But Rabbi Zeira, he ended up holding like the opinion of the father of Shmuel. The Amar Rabbi Zeira, because Rabbi Zeira said, esrog shenifsala aser la'ochla kol shiva. If you have an esrog that becomes puzzle, you can't eat it the entire or all 7 days of Sukkot. As Rashi over here says, Rabbi Zeira b'shitase de'avua de Shmuel. Rabbi Zeira held like the opinion of the father of Shmuel. Amar b'beis hamedrash b'shvi aser. He said on the 7th day was aser b'shmini mutter, like the original opinion of the father of Shmuel, that on the 8th day it's mutter. How did he say that? He said esrog shenifsal l'ribusa nakan. It's actually a chiddush. The afilu nifsala, even if the esrog is puzzle, asura kol shiva, it's still aser for all 7 days. Shemitchila l'shiva huksa, because it was originally designated for 7 days. Aval b'shmini mutaris, but already the 8th day it's going to be mutter again. That's like the original opinion of the father of Shmuel. And the Gemara continues. Amar Rabbi Zeira. Rabbi Zeira says, lo likli inish hoshana liyanuka biyom tova kama. A person shouldn't give the arba minim, the lulav, the esrog, etc., to a child on the first day of Yom Tov. My time, what's the reason? The reason is because a child can receive something on a doraisa level, a child can acquire, but he's not able to give it back. So if the adult has not yet fulfilled the mitzvah of lulav and he gives it to the child won't be able to give it back to him. It's going to be like a borrowed lulav, and it's going to come out that he's trying to be yotze with a lulav that does not belong to him, which is not allowed on the first day. As we've said many times, on the first day you need to be yotze with a lulav that you own. And the Gemara continues, V'yamar Rabbi Zeira, and Rabbi Zeira says, Lolei minish liyanuka d'yahivna lach midi v'lo yoivle. A person shouldn't say to a child that I'm going to give you something, but then not give it to him. Misham da'asi lagmurei shikr, because that's going to teach the child to lie. Shenemar, like the pasuk says, Limdu l'shonam davar sheker. You teach them to say words that are false, words that are lies. Again, you don't want to teach the children to speak lies. And the Gemara continues, Uvepluksa de Rabbi Yochanan, Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish, the same machlokas we had before between Rabbi Yochanan and Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish, whether the muksa extends for the entire day or when you finish the mitzvah it's no longer muksa. That machlokas, we have a different machlokas amoraim similar. The Itamar, because it was learned, Hivra Shiva Esrogin l'Shiva Yamim. Let's say a person separated 7 Esrogin, he wants to use 1 every single day, 1 for each of the 7 days. Amar Rav says, Kolachas v'yachas yotze bav yochla la'alter. Rav says, each Esrog, you can be yotze, once you finish the mitzvah, you can eat it immediately. Rabbi Asi Amar, and Rav Asi says, Kol achas v'achas yotzei ba v'ochla l'machar. Each one of them you're yotzei, but then it's muksa the entire day. You can only eat it the next day. But my kamiflagi, what's the machlokas? It's exactly the same machlokas as Rabbi Yochanan and Reish Lakish before. Mar savar l'mitzvasis katzai. One says the muksa only extends for the duration of the mitzvah. Umar savar l'kula yom is katzai. And the other one says that the muksa extends for that entire day. And the Gemara continues, Vanan di Islan Trey Yome. What about us? We have 2 days. We have a Sveika de Yoma. So meaning on the first day, we celebrate 2 days, because maybe the second day is really the first day. And also when it comes to the 8th day, Simchas Torah, so we say maybe the 8th day is really the 7th day. So then we do a 9th day of Simchas Torah or Shmini Atzeres, just in case. So so what do we do in terms of when you could actually derive benefit and eat the esrog? At what point in time is it going to be mutter? So Amar Abaya says, Shemini Safek Shvi. And what we have as the 8th day, which might actually be the 7th day, Asr, so that's going to be Asr because we consider like the 7th day. However, Tashi, Safek Shmini mutter. When you get to the 9th day already, which might be the 8th day, that's going to be mutter. Mereimar disagrees, and he says, Afilu Shmini Safek Shvi mutter. Even in a situation of the 8th day, which might be the 7th day, but it's only a doubt that it's the 7th day, it's still going to be mutter. And the Gemara continues, Besura Avdi Kemereimar. In Surah, they used to do like Mereimar, meaning they used to be lenient on the 8th day that might be the 7th day. Rav Shisha Breder Avidi Yavid Kabaya. But Rav Shisha Breder Avidi, he went like Abaya. He said if it's the 8th day, which might be the 7th day, you have to be Machmer, it's going to be Asr. V'hilchasa Kabaya. And the halacha is like Abaya. And the Gemara continues, Amar Rav Yehuda Bereder of Shmuel Bar Shilas Mishmei de Rav. Rav Yehuda, the son of Rav Shmuel Bar Shilas, said in the name of Rav, Shemini Safek Shvi. If you have a situation again of the 8th day that might be the 7th day, what we call in Chutzlar Shmini Atzeres, so the halacha is Shvi LaSukkah. We treat it as the 7th day when it comes to Sukkah. Ushmini LaBracha, but we treat it as the 8th day when it comes to the Bracha. Rashi over here says, Shvi LaSukkah, Kenemefarish LaLakamon, that's going to be explained. Ushmini LaBracha, but it's the 8th day for brachas, meaning, Sha'omer Betzfilo, Birchas HaMazon, V'Kiddush, Es Yom HaShmini Chag Atzeres Hazeh. What we call Shmini Atzeres, you say in the davening, in the benching, in the Kiddush, you say, Es Yom HaShmini Chag Atzeres Hazeh. For Rabbi Yochanan Amar, and Rabbi Yochanan says, Shmini Lazeh V'Lazeh. We treat it entirely like the 8th day, both for bracha and for sukkah. Rashi says, Shmini Lazeh V'Lazeh, Aflin in sukkah. Even for sukkah, it's considered Shmini Atzeres. Have a Shmini, it's considered the 8th day. Well, the Kaman Mefarish V'Yazal Emilse, the Gemara will go on to explain what all of this means. And so the Gemara says, Meisav Kuliyal Malo Pligi Diasvinan. Everybody agrees when it comes to sitting in the sukkah, everyone agrees you sit in the sukkah on this day called Shmini Atzeres. Rashi says, B'shmini Safek Shvi. On the 8th day, which might be the 7th day, you certainly sit in the sukkah. Even according to Rabbi Yochanan, who said it's considered the 8th day for both sukkah and bracha, even he agrees you sit in the sukkah. That's not a dispute. Ki pligi, what's the machlokas? What is the issue between, again, Rav and Rabbi Yochanan? And we'll continue with this discussion in the next video on Daf Mem Zayin Amud Aleph.